Oh, maybe I can do it. All right, let's see if we're live. Okay, I don't know. Hopefully that maybe stabilizes a little bit. Bomb threat, and at the Reagan National Airport. All flights have been halted. Oh, Dick Cheney passed away today, by the way. Dick Cheney passed away.
I think people ought to be free to enter into any kind of union they wish.
When asked how he would be remembered, an unapologetic Cheney told ABC's John Carl he'd leave his legacy up to others.
I'm very comfortable with what I...
They're saying Dick Cheney passed away today. Okay. Are we here? We live?
Right now, the Democrats fear political retribution from the far left activists in their party more.
Okay, that's happening now. We got the government shutdown going on. We got bomb threats, plane threats, polling station threats. We got the food stamp crisis, and they're saying Trump is defying the food stamp orders from who was it? Was it the Supreme Court or something? Let me see. I think I bookmarked it. He's defying orders. Let's see. Yeah. President Donald Trump defies federal court orders halting full benefits for recipients. So the court order was trying to say that I think he was supposed to give some type of supplemental coverage or something. Well, he's defying it. He's defying it. Officials also have issued major warning that U.S. airspace operations may be suspended if the federal government shutdown continues. Oh, shit. What does that mean? Oh, U.S. airspace. What does it mean? No airplanes flying? That would be interesting. Imagine no flights. All right, I'm streaming in 1080. I'm using a smaller bit rate. Hopefully the measly, crappy Comcast connection that I have that I'm paying $200 a month for can handle it. Let's see, did we get everybody back? Well, we got everybody back. Okay, what matters is you can see and you can hear, and if it's a stable connection. If you guys could hit the like button for me again, too, I'd appreciate that. There's a lot going on today. Let me see. I want to know what this Cuomo stuff, Cuomo Mandami, are we going to get the results today? Let me see. Can I actually Google? Mandami. AI mode. Let's see. It's not even telling me. Just gave me links to websites. Democratic Party, Zoran Mamdani, 34 years old. Cuomo went and casted his own ballot. Okay. Okay. Let me see if I can look for some more updates with this whole bombing situation out of the plane. Bomb threats, psychopaths everywhere. On edge, willing to kill. Oh, thank you for that link. PNW Steph. It looks like they've evacuated the people out of the plane at least. The ground stop may be due to an unconfirmed threat made on a flight UA512. The aircraft was reportedly moving away from the terminal. Check Discord PM. Okay. Oh, Zandami appeared on the streamer's stream. Oh.
Hey, what's going on with the songs?
Oh man, did he freestyle? Oh, I've seen this guy before. This streamer guy. I've seen one of his like shorts or something. I think he does like this music stuff in New York, and like people will rap or something like that. I think I've seen this guy somewhere on YouTube.
Is the ability for all lives. Tuesday, I would love to have the honor of being your mayor. Give it up for the man! Please.
He's hitting all the stops, the young demographics, younger, older demographic. Polymart has him winning. Polymart does have him winning. I don't understand a lot of these plane incidents too. Not just like the bomb threats, but like all these, you know how you see all these, plane just took off. All these fights at the airport or on the plane. I feel like there used to be some type of sensibility back in the day when you're at an airport or on a plane where hundreds of people are on the plane and people's lives, you know, depend on, you know, people being normal and regular and decorum or whatever. There's none of that now. People act like animals. Okay, Katarina, thank you for tagging me. This a reporter with Reuters posted says sources confirms threat was called in against United flight at DCA and an abundance of caution flight evacuated. Okay, so somebody called this in. Okay. Or at least the connection's stable now. I hate that I had to use a notification, but another one. So out of an abundance of caution, they're clearing this place out. Clearing the plane. I watched a story the other day about some lawyer that he was kind of like a lazy lawyer. He didn't really like working. And so the days that he had some court cases he wasn't ready for, he would call a bomb threat in so he wouldn't have to work. Eventually they caught his ass, but pretty wild. Here's another
stretching of personnel. One of the other things, Guy, that makes a big difference here is Secretary Duffy, Transportation Secretary Duffy, is working on a complete redo of the air traffic control system. And it's supposed to allow for not only a safer but a more efficient flight, meaning air traffic control personnel are going to have AI to assist them. They're also going to have the ability to keep planes a little closer and still be safe, meaning more takeoffs, more landings, and also the redoing of the entire infrastructure. That's a big job. It's going to take a while, but Secretary Duffy is on top of it.
All right, well, yet again, we'll continue to follow this developing story at Reagan National Airport, where that United Airlines flight inbound from Houston, all the passengers on board have been offloaded. They are now at a terminal as an investigation continues. It all surrounds a security threat of some sort. We're now taking a live look at the White House, Eric.
White House.
Well, the White House press
All right,
room.
they're kind of doing the exact same thing that we are. They're here on Live Now from Fox, diving into all of this. Caroline Leavitt, any moment expected to step to the podium right there in Washington, D.C. at the White House. So this is a live picture right now, but let's take you back out one more time here to what we're monitoring there in Washington, D.C. This as the flights grounded. We do see some coming and going, though, so not exactly sure. I'm not sure what we see in the background there, if that is just a maintenance vehicle or a security vehicle heading over this way, but we'll keep an eye on it. All right, so this is just courtesy of our Sky Fox team there in Washington, D.C., as this is just the developing story right now. Flights were grounded, at least temporarily, at Reagan National Airport. You can see the issues with different airlines in the last year or so. We saw NTSB hearings about a crash there with the Black Hawk helicopter over the Potomac. Obviously, this is not related
Potomac,
or
yeah,
near as
that was
close
crazy.
to as dramatic as that was, or obviously tragic as it was. You can see people now walking back up to it, which potentially could mean a good sign. Not exactly sure if that is. Probably unlikely if it is people, passengers, crew on the plane, but people walking back to this. And you can imagine people that are coming in this flight 512 from Houston to D.C. They had to get off of this plane, unsure of what's going on, if they have to get on the next plane or they're at home or at their destination in our nation's capital. The bags potentially still on it. They were bussed off this plane to the terminal there. It's a very busy airport in Washington, D.C., but you can see there different airlines. I believe that was also a United plane in the background that is taxiing. You see kind of the wind chutes there, as you can just what they monitor in terms of the wind shear, just different sort of aspects in the atmosphere. All these going on right now. So the flight's grounded right now at Reagan National Airport. And just a programming note, we're going to take you out to the White House briefing as soon as it begins there just down the road at the White House with White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt here on this Tuesday, just past 1 o'clock local time.
How do you guys feel about that? They're saying that the U.S. airspace may be closed if government shutdown continues. How do you feel? Is that concerning? Is it exciting? Are you curious to see what happens?
After arriving just a little bit ago from Houston.
The robot going crazy?
They say it is a security incident, potentially a security issue that they're looking into. Nature of the incident unclear on this arriving plane at this location there in Washington, D.C. So they said all flights temporarily halted, and we've seen different reasons as the government shutdown now stretching to day number 35. So day number 35 of it matches the longest in U.S. history. We talked a lot about TSA agents as they are going
Let me fix that, guys.
pay.
Give me a second.
Flight air traffic controllers without pay for the time being, and that is causing delays, a ripple effect at different areas around the country. I believe Reagan was one of those airports as well. Newark has been at the center of some of those delays, some of the issues with the low staffing with air traffic controllers. Albuquerque also involved. We saw LAX, different Hollywood airport. I remember that was a big one that was without staffing. So we're still following it. Looks like a Southwest plane. That looked like it was on arrival of some kind. So maybe we'll see if we have a post on social media from Reagan Airport about the resumption of some of these planes, these arrivals and departures. And as we've noted time and time again, that this is a very busy airport on a Tuesday here in the month of November. We're heading into the holiday season. The government shutdown, really a stalemate, a stall, a standstill at this point. So right now, not a lot of movement from this United Airlines plane at this moment. So we're just going to continue to monitor it, keeping an eye on what's going on, what this security incident might have happened, what was going on, if it came from the airplane itself or from people on the ground or people back in Houston. Maybe that could be something that is potentially involved in this. So we're just kind of looking at all aspects, all angles of this. Several American Airlines flights in the background there on the tarmac, making their way to or from the terminal right now. So this is just what we're getting. Not a ton of information right now with what's going on. This is, you can see our Sky Fox cam from the wharf. The Metropolitan Washington Airports Authority officials say the passengers on the flight were bused to the terminal. Images from the scene show passengers who appear to be walking from the plane. Air traffic into Reagan was halted for about an hour while passengers were offloaded. It's a very developing story. So kind of that gives you the indication. Only about an hour disruption, but that can trickle down to flights later on this evening, flights throughout the week as we talk about staffing, we talk about planes and how on a system, a schedule they are. So even a minor disruption can impact the larger landscape, especially when you're talking about an airport like.
I don't feel like they'd let all the U.S. airspace shut. I just think there's so much money in it. They'd find something else. They'd figure something out, I think. I don't know. It says 34 days and 13 hours of the government shutdown.
They're kind of closing off the tarmac, aware of this security incident, sending them to other airports in the region. The FAA is saying it's issued a ground stop. That was a little bit ago, but it looks like it is right back into service. As we did see in the background, some of these planes there moving around the area. We did see a crew of 5 or 10 people walk over toward this area right now. So we're going to continue to follow it closely here to see if they are looking into it, if the plane moves in any capacity to or from the airport. They're being very cautious with this, and rightly so. You're not exactly sure what's going on with this airplane, this vehicle there on the ground. You can see some people under some of the landing gear there right now. We did see some maintenance crews heading over that direction, but potentially a good sign if they are investigating it in such a way that they believe potentially that this is no longer a major threat as well. They're just kind of investigating to see what led up to this moment for this flight to be ultimately grounded there at Reagan after its arrival. So let's just continue to follow it here on Live Now from Fox.
Okay. So yeah, it's just live.
So this is at Reagan National Airport there as we were following this, a security incident on an arriving plane as this flight was evacuated. So passengers taken off this United Airlines flight after arriving from Houston. It landed near noon, and the nature of the incident right now unclear. The Metropolitan Washington Airports Authority officials say the passengers on the flight were bused to the terminal. Images of the scene, as you can see now, you can see very much those planes coming and going. So let's just continue to watch this, see if there's any people. You can see 2 people out in front of the plane, keeping an eye on anything that's going on. Maybe that was something. They saw something with the plane, saw something on the exterior of the plane, not exactly sure what's going on with this. So let's just continue to watch this here on Live Now.
Yeah, I wonder if they found anything on there, anything suspicious yet. The end of times, as they say. Another vehicle pulling up behind the plane.
All right, so we're just still following that here on Live Now from Fox as we are just diving into this breaking news. If you're keeping an eye on it, sometimes we just dive into what's going on here or there in Washington, D.C. as a flight was evacuated after arriving at Reagan National Airport. You can see some crew members there of those people that do such a great job kind of taxiing planes in and out of gates. With these large vehicles, these large airplanes. So someone looking at it right now from the vantage point on the ground to see what's going on. But right now, no real information coming from this as we're still monitoring all the feeds from the FAA, from the security, from different people, because this is just such close proximity to our nation's capital, to the Washington Monument, to the Thomas Jefferson Memorial, to the Lincoln Memorial. All of these things are very, very close in proximity, within at least a couple miles of each other there as Reagan National Airport, right on the banks of the Potomac. So the United Airlines Flight 512 arriving from Houston did land as it was there. And I believe this was destined for Washington, D.C. It didn't have to abbreviate the trip in so far as they had to do this. And you can see in the background, I'm not exactly sure if that's just a trash truck, but it looks like some sort of emergency vehicle, the bomb squad of some kind coming this way. So that could be something very pressing with this if they're taking it seriously in that way. So that line of cars in the background on the outside of this tarmac, they could be heading toward this United Airlines Flight Flight 512 at this point. All the passengers have departed, have gotten off. They were bused to the terminal. They're still potentially awaiting, seeing what's going on, watching to see if they have their bags, how that would get going on, because if you imagine an evacuation like this, they tell people to leave their carry-ons, leave their personal items right there on the plane, just to go with the speedy nature of what they want to accomplish. So people's belongings likely still on this plane at this point with it. All right, so you just see this here, and we'll see if we have any of these bomb squad crews, these SWAT vehicles, these police vehicles, law enforcement, because we saw them in the background. They might be making their way around. It was an hour delay, an hour standstill at Reagan National Airport, according to our Fox 5 team, as this flight landed from Houston on the arrival with a security incident, potentially something called or alerted them to that fact. So it did delay some of the incoming flights, outgoing flights, you can imagine, with some of that. And that is maybe normal now with day number 35 of the ongoing government shutdown. TSA agents, air traffic controllers going without pay, working without pay. They will get back pay, but that is once the government returns and reopens. I'm not exactly sure when that could be. So pressure continues to mount on lawmakers, including those in the Senate.
So apparently the U.S. Transportation Secretary Sean Duffy stated today that some American airspace may need to be closed if the government shutdown continues, citing severe shortages of air traffic controllers and other staff at Federal Aviation Administration, FAA. In addition, Duffy warned of mass chaos if air traffic controllers miss a second paycheck, saying that it would result in mass flight delays and mass cancellations across America. Damn! Wow. I wouldn't fly right now. I wouldn't fly because of the shortages of whatever's going on. I would not fly if I didn't have to. Absolutely have to.
At least the White House is aware of this incident, as it is obviously such a very important.
I'll take a look at it, Jen. Let me see if I pull it up.
Capital,
they're supposed to switch, but
our nation's capital, but this one right in the heart of.
They're supposed to switch, but I'll pull it up on the next window just in case. Yeah, they haven't started yet.
It was happening around noon, so almost a little over an hour or so ago that this all happened, a security incident. You can see their police now departing from this vehicle. You can see some of those cars with the stairs, as that's how people got off the plane, how the passengers, how the crew got off the plane earlier on. They were bused to the terminal to keep them at a safe distance from this, but we don't know exactly what's going on, what might come next in terms of this investigation or what's happening. But a good news that the runway there at Reagan Airport has reopened for the time being. Planes come and go. We've seen Southwest, American, United flights all coming and going right now on a busy day there in this November, and it is also election day. So we just want to keep you aware of that we are going to be diving into all.
Yeah, so they're saying flights are now on the move again from Flight Radar, as you can obviously see. And 31 flights were diverted to 9 airports. So I guess they just have this airplane off to the side, and they're continuing business as regular, normal. Oh, shit. What the hell was this guy doing? What was he doing? Breaking, a bizarre moment. Democrat Virginia AG candidate Jay Jones caught trying to kick a dog, but missed. He wants conservatives and their children. Dad hates dogs. What? I just want to see this. Let me see. What happened?
And then he wake up tonight when you get this swing. Goodbye, Red. Say bye-bye. See you soon.
I don't know what that was. It was weird, like a weird reaction. I don't know.
And then he wake up tonight when you get this swing. Goodbye, Red. Say bye-bye. See you soon.
I don't know. Southwest.
Midterms. But we're keeping an eye on this here on Live Now from Fox. The flight evacuated after arriving.
Somebody said it's animal abuse. He didn't touch the dog.
National Airport. Our Fox 5 team there in Washington, D.C., continuing to cover what's going on in terms of the Virginia elections right there As you can imagine, the DMV, the District, Maryland, and Virginia, right, in all of those.
I don't know, man. The bot has lost its damn mind.
So,
it's too
They're
much.
just monitoring it here on Live Now from
The
Fox,
bot.
and I just want to bring you out.
It's either all or nothing, the Streamlabs thing.
As they were going to break, so they're just continuing to monitor it. But no real information. Southwest flights back in service. They're continuing to go. But
a clone glitch. TY Sticks, seriously.
Heading that direction. Not exactly sure why they are not there yet. As you imagine, there's a lot of different kind of traffic scenes on the ground at these tarmacs, these airports. There's a flight arriving. It looks like potentially a Delta flight of some kind, just placed on the signature of the wing, and a Delta flight there in the background. So kind of keeping our eye on this, making sure I'm aware of all those different air symbols and emblems here. So we're just watching it and waiting it, seeing if we have any more information from what's going on. But a security incident, not exactly sure what that entails, not exactly sure what the details are about it. But this right there on the banks of the Potomac at Reagan National Airport, near enough to some of the national monuments and obviously the White House, the U.S. Capitol, all there in the vicinity or relative vicinity for this. So we're just going to continue to follow this closely here on Live Now. All right, still watching and waiting for this. Any update? We're still watching and waiting for Caroline Levitt to get to the podium, and we see kind of the doors coming and going. Let's put up a post here on Live Now from Fox, from a reporter there on the ground from Reuters, saying the FAA is resuming operations DCA after a reported bomb threat. It has been investigated and cleared for the time being. So potentially some good news in terms of that. But we're also watching and waiting right now the White House Press Secretary Caroline Levitt to step to the podium. We'll take you out to that in full as we monitor what's going on at Reagan International Airport. Again, just want to put this up here on Live Now from Fox of this scene there on the ground. This is a live picture. United Flight 512
what's up?
Arrived from Houston around noon local time. It had to be evacuated. People got off on the stairs, got onto buses, headed over to the terminal. And it is at a standstill right now as they are continuing to investigate this security incident there in our nation's capital. So you can see some security potentially leading the bomb squad. I'm not exactly sure who might be following this, but they're off on a kind of side tarmac, I believe, right now, as we see different airplanes arriving, departing from this. It did have a delay of about an hour or so, according to our Fox 5 team. And you can see some smoke coming from this vehicle. I'm not exactly sure what that is, or if that was just kind of wind playing tricks on our mind with this. As it's
everyone up for a second. Let me see. What was that?
Departing from this. It did have a delay of about an hour or so, according to our Fox 5 team. And you can see some smoke coming from this vehicle. I'm not exactly sure what that is, or if that was just kind of wind on it. You can see
was that a bomb?
Southwest, those planes potentially backed up as they are set for departure.
Engine startup?
That is something that's going on, as it was an hour delay that could back up some of these comings and goings. A very busy airport, one of the busiest in the country there at DCA. At Reagan National Airport. So some of these Southwest flights just backed up, ready for departure. And wherever they go, wherever they crisscross the country, you can imagine they are going to be behind schedule. People in their connecting flights, that could have a ripple effect far beyond. So you can see a police vehicle, a official vehicle there with some of the lights on top of it arriving at this plane, maybe making a circle to see what's going on, to see who's there. We did see a crew arrive with 5 or 10 people. I'm not sure if they got on the plane or if they were still getting off. But let's continue to follow it here on Live Now from Fox. And as we see Caroline Levitt stepping to the podium, let's take you out to it as we continue to monitor what's everything going on at Reagan National Airport. Let's listen in to this live.
We are now on day 35 of the Democrat government shutdown. The Democrats' obstructionism will break the record for the longest government shutdown in American history tonight. The Democrats are intentionally hurting American families, workers, and businesses with this shutdown to fight for free health care for illegal aliens and to appease their radical left-wing base. And it's a total disgrace. This past weekend, Americans traveling to weddings, funerals, vacations, and meetings faced significant flight disruptions at airports across the country because of staffing shortages. On Sunday alone, more than 5,000 flights traveling to and from U.S. airports were delayed. Since the Democrat shutdown began, 4 times as many staffing shortages have been reported at air traffic control facilities compared to last year. TSA checkpoint wait times ballooned past 3 hours at Houston's George Bush Intercontinental Airport, with some passengers enduring up to 5 hours in line. At nearby William P. Hobby Airport in Texas, security wait times are routinely exceeding 1 hour. More than 13,000 air traffic controllers are continuing to work without pay. Because of the Democrats, these men and women who keep our airspace safe and moving will miss a second paycheck in a row this Friday if Democrats refuse to open the government. Let me be clear to our incredible air traffic controllers across the country. President Trump and Republicans want you to get your paychecks. They want you to be paid. Please call on your Democrat senators and tell them to side with President Trump and Republicans to vote to reopen the government. Our nation's 4 largest airlines, United, Delta, American, and Southwest, have now all endorsed the Republican nonpartisan clean funding bill to end the government shutdown. Major unions, collectively representing tens of thousands of pilots, have also joined the airlines in calling on Democrats to pass the clean nonpartisan CR. The travel industry is also imploring Democrats to end the shutdown and reopen the government. Nearly 500 companies and groups in the travel business, including casinos, hotels, and convention bureaus, signed a public letter warning that America's travel economy has already lost $4 billion due to this Democrat shutdown, and they have called for the Republican CR to be passed, saying Americans expect and deserve a fully functioning federal government during the peak holiday travel season. Never before have we seen private industry and union leadership so unified on the same issue, rallying behind Republicans in such a vocal way. The Democrats have completely lost the plot. They are endangering the safety, prosperity, and livelihoods of millions of Americans. It's well past time Democrats do what they did 13 times under Joe Biden and pass the clean funding bill extension. All we need are 5 Democrat senators to put country over party and vote to end this reckless shutdown. In other news, tomorrow will mark the 1-year anniversary of President Trump's historic election victory, where he won nearly 80 million votes, the popular vote, in all 7 swing states. This was the ultimate poll on November 5th. The president secured a mandate to make America great again, and he has delivered in record time. Never before have we had a president who has kept their promises like President Trump has. I'd like to go over a few of those with you. In less than 10 short months, President Trump signed the largest middle-class tax cut in history, including no tax on tips, overtime, and Social Security to put more money back into the pockets of the American people. The president ended the southern border invasion of the Biden administration, made our border the most secure in history, and he is carrying out the largest mass deportation campaign of illegal aliens in our nation's history to protect our homeland, just as promised. President Trump has aggressively taken on drug cartels by declaring them as foreign terrorist organizations and even blowing up narco-terrorists who have tried to poison the American people with fentanyl and other illegal narcotics. President Trump defeated the Biden inflation crisis, and he continues to implement a pro-growth, America First economic agenda to make America affordable again, and we are seeing the results of that every day. Inflation has remained low and steady, averaging just 2.5% compared to the painful average of 5% under Biden, and we know it was historically higher than that for most of President Biden's term. Meanwhile, real private sector wages are on track to rise by almost $1,500 since President Trump took office, a significant change to the Biden years where private sector wages declined and were being wiped out by inflation. President Trump has ended the reckless war on American energy and unleashed energy dominance, with gas prices now plummeting to their lowest average levels in more than 4 years. President Trump implemented powerful tariffs to rebalance America's trade deals, protect American workers, and returning our country to be a manufacturing superpower once again. As a result, the president has secured trillions and trillions of dollars in private and foreign investments into the United States, which are creating high-paying jobs for the greatest workforce in the world. The president has restored America's place as the leader of the free world through his unwavering peace through strength foreign policy that has already ended 8 wars and counting. And the president ended illegal DEI initiatives in our federal government and is returning our country to a merit-based society based on common sense. President Trump protected opportunities for women and girls to compete safely and fairly by continuing to keep men out of women's sports. Americans have a president who works tirelessly, literally 24/7, to improve their lives and make our country better than it has ever been before. So with that, today we will open it up to questions, and we will start with our independent journalist in our new media seat, Julio Rosas. Julio, please start. Thank you.
Thanks, Caroline. So over the weekend in Mexico, sparked a lot of outrage. A lot of Mexicans are very upset. They're blaming President Claudia Sheinbaum for not taking the cartel threat seriously.
Oh, the governor that was killed.
Yesterday, she said that, once again, she's not going to allow any foreign military intervention to take on the cartels on Mexican soil, and that Mexico is not going to pursue a drug war similar to what they've done in the past. So my question is President Trump satisfied with Claudia Sheinbaum's approach to cartels? And if not, has Manso's assassination kind of opened up some new options for the United States to pursue regarding cartels? Has Manso's assassination kind of opened up some new options for the United States to pursue regarding cartels?
Well, first of all, with respect to this specific news item and this alleged assassination that took place in Mexico, I know the Trump administration, we are aware of that, and of course we condemn all political violence anywhere in all forms. As for Claudia Sheinbaum and the president's relationship with her, I think he has a lot of respect for her as president of Mexico, and he also really appreciates the coordination that she has provided to the Trump administration. I can't speak for her and what she's doing internally in her country. I can speak for the president in saying we are continually pushing Mexico to do more to tackle the drug trafficking and the drug cartels within their country, and we are working with them in any way that we can. And the president has obviously used the full range of executive options in his authorities to crack down on drug trafficking at our southern border and to designate these cartels as foreign terrorist organizations and additional actions as well.
Just one more question.
Sure.
So at the Antifa roundtable that we were at just last month, myself and the other panelists made the recommendation to the president for, speaking of foreign terrorist organizations, to have Antifa, to Secretary Rubio, because he was in the room at the time, to look into that. So I just wanted to see if there's an update on that recommendation.
That process is most definitely taking place. I don't have any announcements.
Look into that. So I just wanted to see if there's an update on that recommendation.
That process is most definitely taking place. I don't have any announcements for you on that today, but I can certainly assure you the administration is working on it, and I'll check in on it and get back to you, Julio. It's a good question. Thank you very much. Jackie.
Thank you, Caroline. Zohran Mamdani blamed the president for bomb threats and intimidation at his polling locations. He said, repress the voice of Americans across this country. I want to give you a chance to respond to that.
Yeah, I saw those comments from Mamdani. I think they are completely irresponsible.
Repress the voice of Americans across this country. I want to give you a chance to respond to that.
Yeah, I saw those comments from Mamdani. I think they are completely irresponsible, and they are based on zero evidence. And I think this is just another example of how the Democrat Party unfortunately stands for nothing. All they stand against is President Donald Trump. And I think it's quite sad to see that we have someone at the top of the ticket on an election day today saying such things about the president when he obviously had absolutely nothing to do with those threats.
And on the shutdown, Democrats have been pretty quiet about the president's push for the nuclear option, terminating the filibuster. Is there any concern around here that Democrats might actually want Republicans to get rid of the filibuster so that one day, when they're in power again, the door's already open for them to pack the Supreme Court, give statehood to D.C. and Puerto Rico, make mail-in balloting permanent, those kinds of things?
I think the president has been very realistic and strong in his position on the filibuster. He's been very vocal about it. I just spoke to him about it. He feels really strongly about this. Republicans need to play tough and they need to play smart. That's how the president feels. And we know that Democrats, if they are ever given a chance at power again in this city, they will absolutely take away the filibuster from the United States Senate. In fact, you had 49 Democrats who already voted to do this before. The only reason it did not move forward was because you had 2 Democrats who are no longer in office because they were run out of town by the far left radical base of their party. And so President Trump is quite clear on this. He wants to see Republicans move as many good pieces of legislation for our country forward in the next 3 years of his administration as they possibly can. And the filibuster is one means to doing that.
Talk to Johnson and Thune about it. I know that they had both voiced some opposition. Have there been any conversations with them?
He has. He's made his position to them very clear, both publicly and privately. Ouija.
Thanks so much, Caroline. Can you help clear up some confusion about SNAP benefits? Because
Sure.
The president just posted that they will only be given out when the radical left Democrats open the government and not before. But just yesterday, the administration said it would comply with a court order to expend the full amount of SNAP contingency funds by end of business day yesterday. So did the administration distribute that money or defy that court order?
No, the administration is fully complying with the court order. I just spoke to the president about it. The recipients of these SNAP benefits need to understand it's going to take some time to receive this money because the Democrats have forced the administration into a very untenable position. We are digging into a contingency fund that is supposed to be for emergencies, catastrophes, for war. And the president does not want to have to tap into this fund in the future, and that's what he was referring to in his Truth Social post. So the Department of Agriculture, as for the latest SNAP payment in the judge's order, put out guidance to states today on how to get that money to the recipients of SNAP, but it's going to take some time. The best way to get the full amount of SNAP benefits to those beneficiaries is for Democrats to reopen the government. So to anyone who is a SNAP beneficiary at home who needs that assistance, and the president was just saying, this is for people who are truly needy, who need food, who need this assistance from the United States government. Democrats are holding it up and making it difficult for the administration to get those payments out the door. So if you are at home and you want your SNAP benefits, call the Democrats and tell them to reopen the government.
Blocking that contingency fund for the future if this shutdown lingers on?
Look, the president does not want to have to continue to dip into a contingency fund that doesn't even have enough money, by the way, to fund the full program. It takes $9 billion to get the full scale of the benefits out the door. This contingency fund only has about $5 billion in it. So again, Democrats need to reopen the government so we can get these benefits out the door for people who truly need them. Kate.
Thanks.
The president suggested that if Downing wins, that he would cut federal funding to New York. How much funding would be impacted? What would be impacted there?
Well, look, we won't get ahead of the election results, nor will I speak to what the president may do in the future. We'll see how tonight goes, and then I'll let him speak on it further.
And why did the administration exclude Democratic lawmakers last week? There was a briefing about U.S. strikes on alleged drug trafficking boats. Why were those Democrats excluded?
The administration has briefed Congress on these matters 8 separate times, and Democrats have been included in those briefings. In fact, I know that Secretary Rubio will be on Capitol Hill tomorrow to brief the Gang of 12, which includes Democrats as well. So the president's made it very clear, if senators want to understand the administration's operations against narco drug traffickers, we are very happy to speak with them about that, and we will continue to do so. But we've been incredibly transparent. As I said, there's been 8 briefings on this topic, with the 9th coming tomorrow. Rachel.
Thanks, Caroline. There's been some reporting out there about the possibility of furloughed workers not getting back pay. We know that the president signed that bill into law in his first term. Does the administration guarantee that all furloughed workers will get back pay?
This is something we are very much open to discussing with Democrats as part of the discussions about the continuing resolution to keep the government open, and it's something that Republicans are talking with Democrats about right now. I won't get ahead of those negotiations or discussions.
That's a possibility that may not happen, even though it's law.
I just said Republicans in the White House are very much open to discussing this with Democrats.
And then just one last question. As this government shutdown now drags on, about to make history as the longest government shutdown in American history, can you talk about what the president is personally doing to try to see an end to this?
He's pushing Republicans to keep voting. and to keep opening up the Senate floor to vote for the clean continuing resolution. He had the Senate Majority Leader and the House Caucus Leader, Hakeem Jeffries, here at the White House to talk about this in the very early stages, to give them a chance to come to their senses and avoid this entire government shutdown at the very beginning. And they chose not to. And I think it's been very clear to everyone in this room and to everyone across the country that the Democrats are playing partisan politics with our United States federal government. And all Republicans have wanted to do for the last 35 days is reopen the government. That has been the president's position since day one. It is his position today on day 35. And all we need are 5 common sense Democrats with have a little bit of courage and come to the table and vote with Republicans. I saw Senator John Fetterman on television last night saying that he hopes more folks in his party will step up. And we certainly agree with him on that point. Sure.
Caroline, the president posted on True Social that the voting underway in California is, quote, rigged. What evidence does he have of that, and what does it mean that mail-in ballots in that state are under legal and criminal review? By whom and why? And also, in this vein, does the White House still plan to issue an executive order banning mail-in voting, and what legal authority do you have to do that?
The White House is working on an executive order to strengthen our elections in this country and to ensure that there cannot be blatant fraud, as we've seen in California with their universal mail-in voting system. It's absolutely true that there's fraud in California's elections. It's just a fact. It is just a fact. They have a universal mail-in voting system, which we know is ripe for fraud. And if you want to deny that, I'm happy to provide you all of the evidence for it. I'd be glad to send that to you after this briefing.
Rigged.
Fraudulent ballots that are being mailed in the names of other people, in the names of illegal aliens who shouldn't be voting in American elections. There's countless examples, and we'd be happy to provide them. As for executive action the White House is taking, yes, we are looking into that. And like any executive order, of course, any executive order the president signs is within his full executive authority and within the confines of the law. Stephen.
Thank you, Caroline. I've got 2 questions I'd like to ask you about New York, but first I'd like to ask you about breaking news from the Attorney General. She revealed just about an hour ago that the Biden Justice Department seized President Trump's official first-term phone and subpoenaed his private phone records. Do you have a reaction to that? And also, do we know if they actually got those private call records?
I saw the Attorney General's post on that. For additional questions, I would refer you to the Department of Justice, but I think this is just further evidence of the egregious overreach and weaponization of government that took place under the previous White House against then former President and now President Donald J. Trump. It was a clear effort by the Biden White House and the Biden DOJ to go after the president, and this is just further evidence of that.
On New York, we've seen the president's messages that he's put out, but could you describe how he's feeling as a New Yorker watching this election?
Well, the president is a New Yorker, and he loves New York. It is his home. He talks about that all of the time, and he's made his thoughts on this election quite clear, I think, himself. In the back, yes, go ahead.
Thank you. Over the weekend, there were reports.
I was going to you in the green, but go ahead and then you can have your question.
Thank you. Over the weekend, there were reports that President Trump was due to host President of Syria, Ahmed al-Sharia, on Monday. Do you have any preview for that meeting? Is he expected to invite him to join the U.S.-led anti-ISIS coalition?
I can confirm that that meeting will be taking place here at the White House on Monday, and this is part of the president's efforts in diplomacy to meet with anyone around the world in the pursuit of peace. And as you know, when the president was in the Middle East, he made the historic decision to lift sanctions on Syria to give them a real chance at peace. And I think the administration, we've seen good progress on that front under their new leadership. And so he will be here at the White House on Monday, and I'll let the president speak further on it on Monday. Yes, go ahead.
Thank you, Caroline. I was just curious, you had mentioned there that President Trump, as we know, has been speaking with Republican leaders in Congress about reopening the government. Is he involved in any other negotiations, and is he prepared to sign something if a deal does come out by the end of this week? On top of that, with SNAP benefits, does he have any authorities or considering any authority there to release more funds to help people who are desperately needing these benefits?
So look, I think I've already answered the question on SNAP. We're complying with the court's order, and we're getting that partial payment out the door as much as we can and as quickly as we can, but it's going to take some time because, again, this is a prorated payment that we're tapping into a contingency fund for. The best way to get those payments out the door is for Democrats to reopen the government. But yes, the president is in constant communication with his friends on Capitol Hill. They know, they call, he answers, he picks up the phone. He's a very transparent president in that way. And as soon as the Democrats pass the clean continuing resolution, President Trump will be here to sign it. Michael.
Thank you, Caroline. Okay, I have to head out for now, guys. Gotta go pick up baby girl from school. But I'll be back later if anything pops off. The whole thing with this, with the airport, it's already cleared, they're saying, supposedly. They're saying flights are back to normal. So on the next live, if there's any other kind of updates, if they actually found something or anything else is actually going on, I'll cover it. But we'll see what else pops off later today. All right, and make sure you follow me at It Clips, because I have clips and stories that I'm posting there. I posted a video this morning that was pretty wild. A CPS person at this Haitian mother's house, and the conditions were just crazy, deplorable. All right,